Hey, what's up everyone? This is Joe Previtt. For this video, I wanted to give an example of my response when somebody says, "What's your story?" And you might hear this question when you're interviewing for a remote dev job or just in any type of interview. And so I wanted to practice to show how I, a native English speaker, might respond to this so that you too can practice and take what you like and what you don't like to craft your own. But the reason I'm doing this is because I think it is so important to have this down. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be memorized, but you should be comfortable because this type of question of introducing yourself to an interviewer is going to come up again and again in your remote dev interview process. And so it's something that you want to have down because when you have this down and you have kind of like an off-the-cuff response, they're going to forget that you're a non-native English speaker, and that's going to help you do better in the job interview process. So we're going to pretend that I applied to some job, a job for a full stack engineer, and this is the initial screening with the recruiter. So they're asking, "Hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Kind of what's your story?" So yeah, my name's Joe Previtt. I was born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona, where I spent most of my time. I went to college and studied foreign languages. After that, I learned how to code. I taught myself through Free Code Camp. And most of my career has been spent the last almost 7 years working in web development. So that's ranged from working at local companies here in Arizona to working remotely at agencies, building full stack applications, web apps, mobile apps, usually working with React and TypeScript on the front end, Node, Express, GraphQL occasionally on the back end. And then I've also dabbled with React Native and done some mobile development. I also worked for a period of time as a developer advocate at Facebook, where I worked on the open source team. I've also worked at startups. I used to work at a company called Coder, where I worked on an open source project full time. That was one of the top 100 most starred repos on GitHub. And it was VS Code in the browser. It's called CodeServer. And currently, I work at a startup called Bankless, which is in the crypto space. And there I work as a senior TypeScript engineer, where again, I'm working on full stack applications. So the stack I work with is it's a mono repo. We have a web app that is it's built with React or Next.js and TypeScript on the front end. And then we have an API that is in Node and Express and TypeScript on the back end. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Outside of my working career or outside of work, I like to spend my time building side projects and teaching other developers. So I have a couple courses. I have a Vim for VS Code course. I've got a TypeScript course. And then I've also recently started a couple newsletters. So I have one that's about Argentinian Spanish, and then I have another which is about helping non-native English programmers get better at English to help them land remote jobs, remote dev jobs. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. The last thing I'll add is that I have a family. I have a wife and a daughter and 2 dogs. And so when I'm not working and I'm not working on side projects, I'm spending time with my family. So that's my story. You know, I used a lot of ums. Obviously, try not to if you can. But you know, it's everybody does it, so it's totally fine. It might help you sound more like a native speaker. But yeah, I kind of touched on my career. My feedback for myself is I probably didn't need to say that I was born in Phoenix, Arizona, and went to college, studied languages. Right? It's not super relevant unless the job maybe mentioned like a global team or different languages, like, you know, if there are people based in other countries. But I probably should have just started and said, yeah, like I've been working in the field of software engineering for about 7 years, mostly in web development. So that's kind of where I would have started. That's feedback for myself. The other thing, I probably would have ended it a little bit better. I kind of added on that family at the end. My transitions were a little choppy. So that's something that I should probably work on myself. And then also I don't even have a clock in front of me, so I don't know how long that was. But I think typically, like, it just depends on how long the interview is, right? If you have an hour, probably what I did was fine. But if it's like a 20-minute call and I just spent 5 minutes on intro, might not be the best use of time, of their time. So I might want to shorten that to like a 2-minute. And the other thing too is like, I might not have needed to touch on the technologies because again, they might say like, oh, well, like what technologies are you familiar with? It really just depends. But anyways, that kind of like, natural flow, you've got something down, you know what you want to say. There's not a lot of hesitation, not a lot of pausing. The ums are okay, but that's kind of what you want to shoot for, right? This kind of like natural flow, because that's what it would be like in person. That's what it would be like if you were actually going into the office and having the conversation. But most days, I mean, the things you're going to be applying for are remote, so you don't need to worry about that. But hopefully that was helpful. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you thought. If you have feedback for things that you think I should have done better, let me know as well. But yeah, good luck. Practice that. Get it down. Practice it in front of the mirror. Practice recording. Upload it to YouTube, whatever. If you do upload yours and you want me to critique it, drop a comment below with a link, and I'd be happy to do so. Thanks. See ya.